Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm known in pretty much all the games I play as Usul, but this is kind of a journal, so people in real life call me Joe. I'm just kind of needing to just get out there what's going on with me, kind of help me sort through things and, maybe even remember some things. For starters, back in July of 2019, I was having some issues and went to the doctor. The potential diagnosis was acute prostatitis, which is an infection in the prostate. He gave me an antibiotic and put me on something that's supposed to kind of shrink the prostate. A few weeks went by, there wasn't really much change. There was a little bit of change, but not a lot of change. So he tried a different antibiotic. That second antibiotic was ciprofloxacin, which is a particularly strong antibiotic. I took the first dose of it that night, took the second dose the next morning, and pretty much almost passed out in the shower. I got dizzy, nauseous, stomach cramps. It was really bad right off. I went, lay down, called into work. A couple hours later, my wife checked on how I was doing, and I was still dizzy, still nauseous, and was kind of I'm gonna describe it later. I was just kind of out of it. She called to talk to the doctor, and then took me to the walk-in clinic. The walk-in clinic, I guess they ran a few tests and had absolutely no clue as to what was going on, and sent me straight to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 5 days, and they ruled out a bunch of things, ran a whole bunch of tests, and didn't really solidify anything. And I ended up going home. And when I left the hospital, it was a struggle to walk. Could not, cognitively different, significant decline. And my right foot was numb and couldn't really lift it. So I needed a walker. And in addition, when I first got there, they doubled that other med that I was on that was supposed to fix the issue, and it actually fixed the original issue like within a couple of hours. So there is at least a suspicion that I probably didn't need the antibiotic, But unfortunately, there's this medical guideline where it was okay that I was given this thing, even though it has completely changed my life. So I came home. Don't really remember a lot of the details about the hospital stay. I don't really remember being at the walk-in. And honestly, a lot of these details, I only remember them because my wife tells the story over and over and over. But I ended up not really improving very quickly. So using a walker to get around. Got weakness in the right leg, right foot numb, brain fog, memory challenges, and then all my joints started slowly hurting more and more. And after a little while, the pain started getting familiar. So I've had tendonitis in my wrists since high school. And after a few months, the pain was getting really bad. I was hurting pretty much all the time. Background pain level was usually around a 5 or 6. It's just about all my joints, and it was feeling like tendonitis everywhere. And at some point, my wife and best friend from high school had both done research and had found that everything that was going on with me was pretty much matched exactly the possible rare side effects of Cipro. So we're positive that it's the medicine that did this. And as time's gone on, the pain's gotten worse. I have a hard time writing because the tendons in my fingers are sore. They sometimes pull. So I have hypermobile joints in my hands and wrists, and so sometimes my fingers will pull in really weird directions because the tendons will pull funny, and the joint will just allow the finger to move in a way that is just, it hurts, it looks weird, and there's really nothing I can do about it. So with all this going on, with having the brain fog, there's the memory challenges, so sometimes I forget what I'm doing, forget what I'm supposed to do, forget what I did the day before. It's kind of hard to really get anything done. When my FMLA ran out, I lost my job because they couldn't hold it without the government guarantee of holding your job. It took a long time to get my long-term disability, partly because this is so rare, they didn't really believe that it happened. and at one point told me that there was nothing wrong with me and that I just needed to get up and walk and go get a job. Never mind that when I get up, I'm not always sure I'm going to be able to walk. Especially with, the pain, and at some point I'm going to have possibly a tendon rupture. So that kind of continued on. I saw a neurologist who did a bunch of tests, including a nerve test. They didn't find any permanent nerve damage. And things did get to a point where at around beginning of 2020, it kind of moved on to a cane. Although it's still, there's 4 feet still on the bottom of the cane, because I can't keep my hand steady enough with just one. It moves, my hand just kind of wobbles. So things were not looking the best, and then found out about a sports medicine doctor in the area that had experience with this condition, and managed to get a referral to see him. Unfortunately, this all also happened right around the beginning of COVID-19, which delayed everything. It slowed down the referral going through. It slowed down being able to set up an appointment. And first appointment was actually, so the first few appointments with him were via Zoom. But he's like, story is very familiar, and he put me on a few meds, and a couple of meds. One of them, he put me on magnesium, which helped a little bit with the brain issues, but not a lot. Still having memory challenges, still having brain fog, just not as bad, but still enough that I still struggle to do things, to get things done. On some days, I'll never know when I'm going to be capable or not. At one point he did mention that when Cipro causes temporary nerve damage, it only shows up on a test in a very narrow time, and that the nerve tests that I'd been given before was probably outside of that window, especially with the slow improvement and how slow nerves repair. It was, yeah, it'll get better, but that's why the test said nothing. The other med that he put me on, it's really weird how sometimes they make a med to do one thing and then they later find out that it does something else. So the other thing that he put me on was Cymbalta, which is normally used for depression, but it's also FDA approved for chronic pain. chronic musculoskeletal pain. So I'm on a decent dose of that now, so that now it's my constant pain level is more like a 2-3, but I still have the occasional spike where one or more joints will hurt at like a 7. So there's still issues with pain. And so yeah, it's been quite the journey to get to here. And I'm at the point where, in hopes that it will either help my memory or help at least put down things so that they can be remembered later, I'm going to start trying to journal what's going on, what my thoughts are, how my treatment's going, how my symptoms are going, and maybe comment on things with my life. And then if I remember things, say some of the stories that I have, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to pull some of these things up, because sometimes I'll remember something one day and it's gone the next. So just going to see how this goes, and if you want to see, keep kind of updated on how I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe. It would be appreciated. And I guess we'll see y'all on the next one, because I don't remember if there was anything else I was going to say, but we'll get it next time. So, bye.